What does Chinese astrology and Feng Shui and acupuncture have together? So this is a topic that is rarely discussed, but you see, it is in these fringe topics that high performance is achieved. So in a very short explanation, one word, it's energy. Chinese astrology has to do with time, doing things at the right time. Feng Shui has to do with space, right? Being in the right space, being in the right environment, conducive to what you want to achieve. And then acupuncture has to do with the internal energy system of the human being and makes sure that you function at your best. So you need to be your best version so that you can perform optimally. So these two converge, and these things make for a huge critical mass leading to success. So we'll dive right in just in a bit. So let's go a little bit more in depth about how these things work and how they work together. So let's start with Chinese astrology. So Chinese astrology, what it does, it actually establishes an energetic chart for you as a person. So basically what it says is that you have this energy structure, and based on this energy structure we can see many things, like for example what your hidden potential is, what your talents are, what suitable careers you have, what challenges you might encounter in all areas of life, whether it be career, money, business, but also health, also relationships, and aspirations, the inner life, ability to enjoy life in general, and all sorts of things. I mean, it is extremely complex, but this is also where the high performance comes in, right? Because you need, just like in any good story, right? You're the hero in your story. So in order for you to achieve high performance, that's not going to be a given, right? It's not going to fall from the sky. You need to work for it. And when I say need to work for it, I'm not just saying putting in the hours, but for us to achieve what we want, we need to overcome personal hindrances, personal obstacles, right? We all have fears. We all have, things we fight with and things we need to overcome. So these can be seen in the Chinese astrological chart. So the strong point of astrology is through this, that you can actually gain clarity. You can actually gain clarity and understand who you are, what is best for you, what are your strong points, what are your weak points, what are your challenges, what is your potential if you work towards overcoming those challenges. So that's one thing. Another thing, also very strong when it comes to astrology, is timing, right? So what we've talked so far about the so-called natal chart. So that means, your structure with which you've been born and that you'll have all your life. But that same structure resonates with the energy that is present at any given moment. And it's like we have seasons, right? So for example, what we call seasons is just one aspect of how the energy in the environment changes and how energy changes over time. So astrology recognizes that we as human beings also have kind of energetic seasons, right? And as always, it is best to be in the flow. It is best to do things which are already kind of in the air. They're supported by the environment. What do I mean by that? It's not only a question of you doing what you do best. You look at various high performance in various areas of life. It's the same person, but the same person does not perform at their best every second of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, right? We have highs and lows like any human being, right? The idea is to not try to be your best when you know you're not going to be. Now, of course, a regular person will not know when they're going to be or when they're not going to be at their best. But with the help of Chinese astrology, that's what we can start to find out. So one of the things that Chinese astrology brings into play, and that's absolutely huge, is that it's going to tell you what to focus on, because that thing is going to appear as most natural to you. What happens if you don't know that? Let's say, one of the things that I find that this applies to most is like New Year resolutions, right? So a new year starts and people get ideas. Oh, this year I want to be such and such. I want to do this or that. I want to have, various plans. The problem is, that sometimes, well, most of the time, people fail to take into account the will of the universe, right? Because in that particular year, you don't know how you're going to feel. So what I find that happens is that some people, they have grandiose plans at the beginning of the year to, I don't know, start a new business or focus on one aspect or another. And then they struggle to do that, whilst the actual energy of the year makes them more, I don't know, reflexive, more meditative, or more in the idea, in the vibe of learning new stuff rather than doing stuff, right? And vice versa. You can have plans to, I don't know, do all sorts of courses, or, go on a sabbatical or whatever. Whereas the actual energy of the year might predispose you to be much more inclined to do stuff, which will actually mean that you won't be able to focus on your inner world because you want to do stuff, but you're actually fighting your own nature. So this is what Chinese astrology brings, telling you what's going to be in the flow before it actually happens. It's like a weather report, right? Tomorrow's going to rain, or tomorrow's going to be sunny. Well, tomorrow or next month or next year, right? The main energy translated for you, and this is the key, right? Because the main energy is going to be very, very different for each and everyone, depending on our energetic structure, right? But for you, it's going to translate into such and such opportunities, right? So, of course, it's better to focus on those opportunities, on those kinds of activities, because that's going to feel most natural to you, and consequently, that's what you're going to have most success in. And also, hidden gem, yeah, that's where also the opportunities coming apparently from the outside are going to come towards you. So, the definition of success is to be the right person at the right time, in the right place, doing the right action. So when it comes to Chinese astrology, it's about being the right person at the right time, right? And maybe doing the right action, yes, that too, but you'll see there's some overlap with the others, right? So then we talk about Feng Shui. So what is Feng Shui, right? You might be thinking, oh, statues and plastic thingies that you put around the house in order to have success and, earn more money or whatever. First and foremost, and I say that in all my videos, Feng Shui is not about the placement of things. Plastic thingies placed in various parts of the house are not going to change anyone's life, right? So Feng Shui is not about plastic thingies. And if you've had any trouble believing in stuff like that because you don't believe in superstitions and you can't possibly understand how, some plastic thingies or amulets or, interior design is going to impact the amount of business opportunities that you have, or how it's going to impact your emotional or romantic life or your health, congratulations, you're in the intelligent category of people who don't accept something at face value. Of course, that is not true. Feng Shui that really works is really Feng Shui, meaning literally wind and water, meaning the energy from the environment. It's the energy from Mother Nature, it's the energy from the universe that is affecting us. And that's not just, hearsay or superstition. There are scientific studies which show that the Earth's magnetic field influences us, right? The solar flares or the explosions in the sun's corona, they influence us. So, there's a lot of scientific evidence to show us that the influence of various universal factors has an impact on us, right? Feng Shui just takes it a whole new level further, because what the ancient Chinese did was they studied what people had in common, the people who were successful, what they did and what they had in common, and the people that were not successful and what they did and what they had in common. And when it comes to success, they analyzed, the three main areas of life. That is financial abundance, relationships, and health and longevity, right? So these three areas. Every person on earth wants these three, right? There's no person on earth that does not want to be healthy and live a long and fulfilling life. There's no person on earth who doesn't long for, nice, fulfilling relationships. And of course, nobody wants to be poor. So everybody wants these three. So we have kind of like more than 2,000 years worth of wisdom and of tested wisdom, right? So it's not just like a theory, it's been tested again and again and again throughout many, many, many generations. And this is the knowledge that we have access to. Unfortunately, it's polluted by misconceptions about Feng Shui. Anyway, coming back to what Feng Shui actually is and does. So what Feng Shui is and does, it's the science of understanding how the energy in the environment impacts us. So for example, in a certain house or apartment, we have different areas, right? Simplest way to divide them is the 8 cardinal sectors, like north, south, east, west, southwest, southeast, northeast, northwest, right? So these 8. There are other divisions as well. Some of them are smaller and so on. So in each house, in each apartment, there are these sectors, and they carry different kinds of energies. Now, what kinds of energies? That depends on the structure of the building, because they're not the same. Sometimes I hear, these misconceptions that, I don't know, such and such corner is the corner of wealth. No, that's different for every house. And which is more, each of us has its own kind of Feng Shui structure. So for me, my energy structure for wealth will be in one of the 8 cardinal sectors. For you, it's going to be different, right? For each person, it's going to be different. We have 8 different structures which are possible. So 2, 3, 4 people living in the same house are going to be impacted in a different way by the same house, by the same environment. So as you see, it's not as easy or as overly simplistic as you might be thinking. And that's a good news, guys, right? Because that's probably the reason why some of you have tried this and it might not have worked for you. Because oversimplification is never, ever the key to success. It's actually the ability to adapt whatever advice and understanding we have to the specific individual. The more individualized the advice is, the better. And here, I want to segue towards the Chinese astrology part, right? How do you adapt the Feng Shui to the individual? Well, one way is through understanding and putting together the astrology chart with Feng Shui. So basically, that's also the beauty of all the branches of Chinese metaphysics, like for example, acupuncture, Feng Shui, Chinese astrology and others, because they have the same operating system, so they fit together anyway. And that's why you can blend them together, and that's why you can get so much more out of them, right? So for a practitioner, and by the way, not all Feng Shui practitioners know how to do this, but for a practitioner that knows how to do this, they will do a Feng Shui assessment and of course a set of recommendations based on that person's Chinese astrology chart. And that is absolutely very, very important. What benefits does this have? Well, for one, generally Feng Shui, what it does is that it puts you where opportunities are. Imagine that you're waiting for the bus, right? And you're waiting for the bus to get somewhere, I don't know, in the city. But lo and behold, you're actually not at the bus stop. You're kind of in between. And the bus comes, but it's not going to stop where you are. It stopped before. Some people gotten on and off. And then it just whizzes right past you. And you're waiting for the bus and it just goes past because, opportunities just go past you. Does that sound familiar? Opportunities not coming your way. Opportunities almost begging other people to, to get them. And when it comes to you, they Now you see them, now you don't, right? They just don't come in your way, you just can't reach them. That's Feng Shui. Well, in this case, bad Feng Shui. But, you know, once you understand the rules, once you understand how to play the game, you can actually play the game in your favor. So, just to, you know, the short version of Feng Shui working is, you're going to be at the bus stop. You're going to be where opportunities are going to naturally occur. So, coming back to the adage of, you know, what is a successful person? Being the right person in the right time, in the right moment, at the right place, right? At the right place. So when we say at the right place, it's like, you know, you might be thinking, okay, so I'm a business person, right? What do? I need to be at a place, a certain place. Am I going to meet customers there? Well, not literally, right? But you work in some place, right? Whether it is from an office or from home. And now with the work from home practices after the pandemic, the Feng Shui that you have at home is so much more important now, because now that Feng Shui, which by the way you can influence much more than you can the Feng Shui of the office in which you might be working, the Feng Shui that you have at home is going to have a huge impact on you and on your level of success or the lack of it, right? So Feng Shui, if you understand it, or if you have someone who knows how to use it for you and adapt it to your energetic structure, that is going to be a huge boost to your success. But that is not the last ingredient. And by the way, these two things that I've just mentioned are not the key ingredients. For myself, I think that the third one, which is acupuncture, is the key ingredient. And the reason I say that is, I started saying that, you know, according to the definition of success, you have to be the right person, blah, blah, blah. The right person. You know, there's a saying which goes like this: the biggest treasures, do you know where those are? You know where those are buried? In cemeteries. And why is that? Because the biggest treasure we can possibly have is our potential. And the pity is, most people die without ever manifesting their potential. Not even most of it, right? Most potential is just like a buried treasure. You never know of it. You're gonna die with it uncovered, undisclosed, unmanifested. And that's a pity, right? So just because you have innate talents, native talents, it doesn't mean that you're gonna do stuff like that. As I said in the beginning, you have challenges to overcome. If you look at every movie, every book, every good story that there is, every good story that there is has a main character who wants something. And I'm pretty sure you're your own character, your main character in your story. I think you want stuff from life, don't you? Right. Well, guess what? In any good story, the main character, the hero of the story, has to undergo a journey. But it's not just an outside journey. It's not just, you know, handling different circumstances and navigating them. It's actually an internal journey as well. One of transformation, one of growth. So you need to get there too. You need to overcome those challenges. And you might even know which those are. But the magic of acupuncture, and when I'm saying acupuncture, I mean the deeper level of acupuncture. Not the, oh, I have some back pain, I'll go and have acupuncture. Not that one. I'm talking about emotional acupuncture. I'm talking about even deeper than that, karmic acupuncture. That has the power to change your life. Now, what is karmic acupuncture? Well, coming back, and this is how these three link together, right? Karmic acupuncture is a form of acupuncture that I have invented, which is based on the Chinese astrological chart. So similarly with how we adapt Feng Shui from the Chinese astrological chart, we adapt acupuncture from the Chinese astrological chart as well. And what that allows us to do is to be able to devise treatments that are based on a much more intimate understanding of who you are, not of who you project to be on the outside. And this goes through a lot of censure, right? Because we censor ourselves. It's like the subconscious is like this, and the conscious is a very thin slice of who we are in our psyche. So we're not aware of most of what happens deep in our psyche. And then the second filter is the therapist. You know, what could a therapist understand from what you're exposing? Because he or she is also a human being too. So what they perceive of the information you bring is going to be, through their filters. So the magic of karmic acupuncture is that it doesn't rely on any of these filters. It's unfiltered information because it is relying solely on something which can be calculated, which is the Chinese astrological chart. So what acupuncture does is it nourishes the naturally occurring internal resources, like for example, self-love, self-esteem, self-assuredness, stability. Because you see, when people come to me, I get many people coming for anxiety, for example, or whatever, night terrors, or I don't know, depression, whatever, or some physical problems, like for example, I don't know, I just had a patient with knee pains and thigh pains and ankle pains, and what they come for is this, but then they discover that actually that is related to a certain organ malfunctioning. In the case of joint pains, it would be the liver and gallbladder, and those are malfunctioning because there's a lot of frustration and anger held deep within. And why is that? Because they lack the internal resources, the stability to actually express that anger and fight for what is rightfully theirs. So instead of expressing them in a healthy way, they repress them, and at some point those get turned into disease. So that's how it works. So I use acupuncture to bring out the best in people, in you, so that then they can be the right person. And then at the right time, given by the astrological chart, doing the right activity, also given by the astrological chart, and being in the right place, meaning working, living, spending time in the right place, in their home, or wherever they live, right? That is full of the energy that they need from the environment, so that they get the necessary opportunities from the environment to do what they need to do in order to be successful. So this is how these three come together. So guys, I hope that you find this as fascinating as I do. It is not only fascinating, it's absolutely game-changing, life-changing at a level that every day that I facilitate this for people, it is unbelievable. It's an extraordinary honor for me to be able to facilitate this process and be part of it, and see it happen and see how people transform. So if this has gotten your attention, make sure that you subscribe and never miss one of the videos that I'm doing. And also check out other videos that I've done. I've done quite a number. So check out the playlist and my channel on YouTube. And hey, keep in touch. There's a whole world that I want to bring to you.